Real Country with Robert Miguel.
KVOU Sports with Drew. Presented by Chicago Title.
104.9 Coyote Country.
Time again for KVOU Sports with Drew.
Sports
and
with
in the
me.
studio.
Yeah,
Drew
Sports with me.
Kimbo.
That's me. Yeah.
Chicago Title.
Chicago Title. Of course, as always, Robert, thanks for having me. Chicago Title, 116 Northeast Street. Yeah, I like it. Windubos, branch manager. And reach us at 830-333-7050. As always, again, thanks again, Robert, for having me. It's always a pleasure being here, man. Thought I'd start off with the usual, the scores.
All right, go ahead. Give me some scores.
Yeah. So get into and also shout out to Officer Nowasco who told me that Sheriff Nowasco told me that I say yeah a lot, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I say that a lot.
I do too.
He said that, and I was like, man, you're right, and I can't stop. Just letting you know. It's ingrained in me.
You know what? Here's the thing about radio. There's certain things that you're going to say that people are going to pick up on.
Fair enough.
And they're called crutches, just things you say.
Yeah.
Whether it's or
right there.
Didn't
even mean to.
But you know what? That's part of what makes your delivery your delivery.
Thanks, I appreciate it. No, he was not knocking me at all. He's just like, I knew that was you whenever I heard it on, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Oh, okay, see, that's your tell.
Yeah,
right?
I guess it's my tell. Start with the Spurs, currently 7th in conference, Western Conference, 45-33. Beat the Cavs on 328, 116, 110. Dropped one to the Kings on the 31st of March, 113 to 106. And then beat the Hawks on the 2nd, 117, 111. I was going to hop around to the baseball stuff, get the scores out of the way. Astros currently sitting 2-4. Sad day. I know they'll turn around, no worries. Won the first one on opening day to the Rays, 5-1. Dropped the next 3 to them, 4-2. 3-1 and 3-1 respectively, and then beat the Rangers on the first.
Boo! Yes.
Beat the Rangers 2-1, and then the Rangers beat them 6-4. So moving over to the Rangers, are currently 3-2. Lost to the Cubs on opening day 12-4. Beat the Cubs 8-6. Beat the Cubs 11-10, lost to the Astros 2-1, and then beat the Astros 6-4.
Well, hey, thanks for covering the Rangers. I know that took a lot out of you.
No. Hey, I'm an Astros fan first and foremost,
right.
But second is definitely the Rangers. I'm a huge Rangers fan as well. I love just Texas in general.
Of course, you got to
put
support
some,
Texas
for sure.
Teams. Go
I've
Texas.
just always the first game I ever watched was at ballpark in Arlington, but my dad's an Astros fan, so just kind of gravitated toward that. So move on to some other cool stuff. I'll stick with baseball just for a second. I talked a few weeks ago, Robert, about how back in December, Cuba and America had come to an agreement to finally let players come over, which I think is an amazing deal. You have great guys like Yasiel Puig, who's in the league now, who's made a huge splash. Great player. But they just released their first group of players able to sign contracts directly with MLB. And I think that that's amazing. There is some caveats, obviously. The deal announced in December by MLB, the CBF and the Major League Baseball Players Association specifies 25% of the signing bonus will go back to the Cuban Baseball Federation.
Okay.
And the Cuban players also have to pay a 4% income tax on their foreign earnings here in America. So,
but that's good for Cuba, though, right? I mean, that's
it's money coming into them. I don't think that these guys probably, for the amount of money, which you got to understand, some of them might sign for $1 million signing bonus, and that's just a check they get to go. Some of them might sign for $1,000,
right?
You know, so it's everybody's situation is much different. But
I think they said like the starting salary is like $850 a month, right?
Exactly,
like $850,
that's
right?
exactly on, and that's. I mean, everybody thinks if you're a professional baseball player, you're probably rolling in dough.
Right.
If you're in single A, double A, you might be making less than $1,000 a month, which is tough. That's $850 and stuff. Especially, well, I mean, that's a good amount of money. But if you're here by yourself, some of them might not have their rooms stuff, and that's not on top of just paying for food. If they had to get a vehicle to and from the stadium, training facilities, stuff like that.
But you're in America, land of the free, home of the brave.
Yeah,
where we're still barely a capitalist country.
For sure.
And and basically the sky's the limit, man. So heck yeah, man.
And these guys are getting to come over here and play the game that they love. It's their passion and stuff. So I'm, as a fan of baseball, I like to see it as a world sport. I'm a huge fan whenever the World Baseball Classic comes out. So I just think it's
God bless America.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, good stuff. All right,
love it. Moving on, got some football news, Robert, and I'm sure you probably read about it. There's the Alliance of American Football, the AAF.
I was just getting excited about it. Now, this is the league where the Commanders, San Antonio Commanders,
yes, exactly.
are in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's kind of been described as maybe you have a farm system in baseball. There's a G League in basketball. And it's their farm system. They can have guys that might not be ready for the big time just yet to maybe hone their skills, mess with if they're coming off of injuries, doing stuff like this. They're kind of making this as kind of a feeder system into the NFL. It's not exactly specific to the NFL, but, you see what I'm saying.
Sure, yeah.
So they have announced that they are ending the season prematurely and told most employees that
8 weeks in?
Yeah, it wasn't much. And they told most employees that they will be terminated as of Wednesday, yesterday.
Wow. So, and they didn't really say what happened, right?
They have not. So I was looking, and it says the letter obtained, this is a quote, the letter obtained by the Associated Press gave no reason for ending the inaugural season, only that the decision was made after careful consideration. And they're saying they're going to restructure the business. So as outsider looking in, I see it as obviously they're not making money. They can't get fans into the seats. They're not selling jerseys. Ticket sales, obviously. It's just, everything's probably going against them. You've got guys that are they're paying these salaries, these owners paying these salaries, paying the rent, I'm guessing, on these stadiums because none of them have their own stadium.
Right, yeah.
So they're paying, no telling.
It's a whole startup thing, yeah.
Yeah, we saw it back in the day whenever Trump was trying to do this stuff with the league. I forget the league escapes me, but back in the late 80s whenever they were trying to compete. The NFL's been around for so long that it's it would be, you just can't compete with the beast. You're talking about the Cowboys alone are $1 billion company every year.
But are you really trying to compete with the NFL? Or are you really trying to? That's like saying. Honestly, that's like saying that your Little League team is competing with the MLB. I don't think that we're going for that same level.
No, you're right. That's probably the wrong way of putting it, Robert. More than likely what it is they're probably trying to catch the fans that might not be baseball fans, might not be hockey or basketball fans that are trying to get in there and say, I want to watch football year round. You might be a few months off.
I know this. I didn't get a chance to go to a game, but I kind of felt like there was a good little hype going around the San Antonio
for
Commanders.
Sure. San Antonio,
and I wanted to go. And I wanted to go see a game, and it hadn't panned out yet. Of course, doesn't look like it's going to now at all.
No.
But I just don't see why. Now, who was? From what I understand, was the guy that owns the Panthers or Carolina?
Yes,
was the main.
I think so.
Person behind the money guy.
I believe so.
So it seems to me like though. And this is just a rule of business. If you can't get through your first year to a business, don't start a business.
Yeah,
you know
sure.
See, it seems like that has to apply to a season of football.
Why
start up a football league
and finish it halfway
if you can't even fund the whole season, right?
I know,
you have
exactly.
to anyway.
I really hope that something comes out about what exactly happened here because I think it's going to be one of those that'll be a really good read. I don't know. I wish especially those. I feel bad for all the employees that are with them. And then obviously the players. They were given probably a second chance. Some of these guys might not have had a best chance to get onto an NFL team. They might have been, practice squad or right there at the end, third, fourth string guys that might never see a play down in the NFL. So I really hope the best, wish the best of those guys and hope that it works out.
I know nothing about starting a football league. I barely know anything about football, but I'll say this. I'll bet you it was like an insurance thing. I bet the prices they paid to cover the insurance
can you imagine?
For the players and of course just the putting on of the games had to be astronomical.
And you got to think now with all the new evidence coming out about the CTE and stuff that
injury
is
related
exactly
stuff. Yeah,
there's probably a lot of you talk about the insurance company. There's probably a lot of guys going like, well, what's the hook here?
Yeah.
Why are we going to insure you? Yeah. More than likely, you're going to have a claim very soon. You know what I mean? So
that's too bad. Rest in peace, Alliance Football League.
I really hope it comes back, but I think it is going to be RIP, buddy. There's the National Women's Hockey League. It was established back in 2015. There's 5 teams.
First of all, this is the first I've heard of this.
Yes.
National Women's Hockey League. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's 5 teams, and I love the names of the teams. Actually, Boston Pride, Buffalo Buttes, Connecticut Whales, Metropolitan Riveters, like Rosie the Riveter, and then Minnesota Whitecaps. But they've announced that they They've approved an investment plan to expand into Toronto and Montreal, which is huge because obviously Canada being the big one for hockey. I mean, there's tons of fans down here, but I just thought it was a really neat story to see that league getting the recognition, expanding from 5 to 7 teams. I'm not for sure when they're looking to get into it, but I just thought that was a neat story.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm check that out.
Sure.
All right.
Moving on, do some little basketball stuff. This for all you basketball fans out there. Anybody that's wanting to watch and is a huge LeBron fan and or LA Lakers fans, he is done with the first season of the Lakers. They've decided to sit him the last 6 games because the Lakers are in their 6th consecutive losing season. And you see this happen a lot, Robert, whenever guys like in the NFL, if somebody's clinched a playoff spot, why take a chance on throwing, Tom Brady out there if you know you've got 2 more games? They matter. I'm not saying that.
But they're not worth risking an injury.
An injury before the Super Bowl or anything like that. They're protecting their investment, saying like, hey, we understand you would like to play. We're no longer in playoff contention. It's mathematically impossible for us to reach it. Let's go ahead and sit you. You get an early break, buddy. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people probably won't agree with that, but this is a business. That's what we have to understand.
Sure, yeah.
These guys are, they're individuals, but it's also an investment for these owners. So they're saying, there's no point. There's truly no point. We can't go anywhere. Let's pick it up and see if we can do something with it next year.
Well, clearly it's strategy, and that's part
Guaranteed.
of it. Like we talked about before. Part of it's all about how you shuffle the team and whatnot.
Yes.
But how does that translate to a guy like him? Would he rather be in the game, crunching some stats, or do you think that does it really matter if they're sitting out?
I would think that probably in his line, the guy he's a competitor. I'm sure he always wants to play. I can't speak for him, obviously, but in my mind, I would think that he would always want to play, but there is an inherent risk every time you step out there.
Sure.
You come down and land on somebody's foot, you roll your ankle, it's never the same. His season, his career could end, and he's arguably going to be up there with Michael Jordan.
Right.
He'll be up there with Kobe as some of the greatest in the game. There's dialogue about him being the greatest, which I disagree, but he's right there.
Don't open that can of worms again.
I think that it's probably smart on his part to go along with this. And honestly, him being a winner all the time and not making it to the playoffs probably hurt a little bit. And he's probably saying, you know what, let's go, let's rebuild, let's see what we can do for next year and not take a chance. I understand if I was a coach or if I was in his position and I was a superstar like him, I would probably be perfectly fine with this.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, Robert, moving on. Thought this, we pulled this, and I thought this was a really kind of a neat deal. So Luna Bar, they make like nutrition bars, kind of, protein bars, stuff like that. They're good, actually. I like them. But they have pledged to pay $31,250 to each of the women's players that make the World Cup team. And this is to offset the difference between what the men get at $55,000 versus the women's bonus of $15,000. So this is, closing that pay gap of what the men were getting versus the women.
Okay. When you say World Cup, that means soccer.
Yes, soccer. Okay. Sorry.
So what's the difference between these are different leagues, right? They're not playing the same teams.
No, obviously not. No. So you'll have the women's World Cup, and then you'll have the men's World Cup. And the men get a $55,000 bonus apiece for signing on, making the roster for the World Cup. In the women's, they get $15,000 apiece for making the roster for the World Cup.
Okay. So somebody's going to come in. They're going to kind of pad their numbers so they can get more money, equal pay.
Yes,
okay, so
exactly.
I'm all for equal pay
for sure
for equal work or equal jobs.
Exactly.
However, just like any other industry, like music, actors, entertainers, it depends on how much revenue is coming in.
That's kind of the
the same amount of revenue coming in for women's, soccer World Cup as men's. Is it more? Is it just as viewed? Are just as many as that? That's really a question.
That's a huge question. I think that's one that gets skipped over, and I think that in the business stance, I think that's where the big problem comes, is why there is this dispute in the the men's team probably do bring in more revenue for overall the roster and everything as far as whenever you put that USA on it.
Yeah.
Than what the women's team might. And I could be very wrong. Be very wrong. But this is my just speculation. This is what I believe.
Well, and that's the way it is. For instance, in my career, I did radio in Dallas for a long time. I didn't work half as hard as I work here.
Yeah.
I mean, and I made a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Because it's a larger market. There's way more money coming in. And because in Dallas, I had more of a name in the radio market I was in.
Yeah.
Here, when I come here, I realize it's a different structure. So it's like I would never expect to be paid on that same level.
For sure.
And I think that most people are reasonable. And again, I guess these female soccer players aren't. They're not. Well, they did, didn't they? Didn't they file a complaint or something like that?
I'm not sure.
I want to say that I heard that, but
yeah, the U.S. women's national team filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer Federation in federal court last month, alleging gender discrimination. The players have said in court documents, this is a quote, by the way, that U.S. men's team players earned $55,000 bonus apiece for making the World Cup roster in 2014, while the women earned $15,000 bonus each for making the 2015 World Cup roster.
Interesting.
So,
but no mention about how much money those games.
No, I think that's
ratings,
probably going to be a tough deal.
Right.
I can look into the numbers. I think this is one we.
Well, anyway,
yeah.
Like I said, I just like to remind people because hey, I'm all about equality. I've got 2 daughters, and I want them to make good money.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like they're going to have men and women that are going to be making more money than them all their lives.
For sure, yes.
And what do you do? What do you do when you're a woman and another woman's making more money than you?
Yeah.
What do you say then?
Yeah, it's tough.
So anyway.
No, I understand. And then last for all the fans around here keeping up with local sports and stuff, our very own Brooks Straley's out in South Korea, like I said. Last outing, Robert, I just wanted to give an update on him. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, and struck out 6. Talked to him. He said he had a great outing. He got the loss 2-1. They didn't exactly hit for him. I guess his team's having some tough at bats and stuff, but that across the board is a great outing. He did really well. Just one of those things to where
6 strikeouts, right? That's
6
good,
strikeouts,
man.
and keeping a team to 2 runs throughout is really good. Just sometimes, I mean, losing those games 2-1 is pretty tough. But best of luck to him. I'll talk to him soon again. I'll keep giving people updates. But as always, Robert, I appreciate you having me.
Right on, man. Good
Chicago
stuff.
title. 116 Northeast Street, Winn Dubose branch manager, 830-333-7050. Thanks, Robert.
There you go, KVOU Sports with Drew.
Yeah,
Thanks, sir.
Sports with me. See ya.
Real Country with Robert Miguel.
KVOU Sports with Drew, presented by Chicago Title.
104.9 Coyote Country.